way sometimes you talk about it, or men talk about it, it's as if, or like, yeah, it's as if like we shouldn't say anything. It would, like, it's improbable to just be with another human and just expect them to just never say anything, never get into conflict, never, like, because that...
I think that's, I understand what you're saying. And to steel man it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is you hear a lot of rhetoric from different places which say, okay, we're going to just utilize women as objects, their opinions don't matter, and they need to just do what they're told at all times, day and night, right? Something akin to that?
Yeah, if you go to the extreme, basically, of like what women hear, I think. And I think that's the big pushback.
Yeah, but you know
generally.
who they hear that from? They hear that from women. They hear that from feminist they hear it from feminist propagandists. Men don't say that. They don't say, we hate women's opinion, or we hate women, and we want them to all be in. They don't say that. What they say instead is, this is the role that I want, the role that I want for you. I don't really hear women or men ever producing the rhetoric that women's opinions don't matter. Rather, I hear feminist women claim that that's what men say. But I don't really hear men saying it.
Warlord69 you donated $99. Ryan07, Andrew, God bless you, thank you for shining the light on everything that I used to be blind on. Question for the panel, what is the first thing you look for when visiting a new hotel?
What?
What the fuck? What?
Bed bugs? Can we agree bed bug? I mean, bed bugs.
Hang on, Brian, wait, okay, hang on. I gotta turn this into something now.
Oh.
Okay, Brian, you have OCD, right?
Yeah.
Do you take a black light with you to hotels, Brian?
No, but I bring my own pillow.
No.
Oh, no.
I travel with my own pillow. Not, maybe you got me thinking, maybe I gotta bring my own sheets and shit, but that's a lot. And I will flip the mattress just to check for bed bugs, That's smart, though. 200 IQ.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's smart. Risk mitigation. Mitigating the risk. What are you doing, fucking gang signs over there? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
All right. Throwing up something, I don't know.
Well, yeah, in any case, I appreciated the convo. I thought it was a good back and forth.
Yeah, thanks.
Quick follow-up on this. If you had to pick one, chivalry or equality?
Ooh.
Chivalry.
Well, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
I think it's more nuanced than that.
But you have to. Listen, if I have to pick lesbian, pink-haired lunatic in my genie wish, you got to pick one.
Yeah. Equality doesn't work either. I think both are like, I would say, I think I would say chivalry. I think I would say chivalry.
Me?
All right. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Wait, that's a good question. I see the benefits of both, but deep down, I think chivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Equality.
Equality.
Now, to the women who said that you would prefer equality, I just wanted to kind of throw out what that would actually mean. All female privilege is gone. Men are no longer approaching you for dates. Men no longer slide into the DMs. Men are no longer paying for the dates. Men are no longer paying for anything. Men expect to be treated the exact same way that they treat women. They expect to be approached. They expect all of this. Would that change your value assessment at all?
Not for me.
No.
Didn't earlier you said you want chivalry?
But this is a question of this or
Sure.
that.
So you want chivalry, but not at the expense of equality.
Yes,
Okay.
I said I
see.
appreciate it.
Okay. Interesting. So you guys would be in favor of, for example, women being drafted in the military?
If it comes down to it, I mean...
Yeah. Would you guys... But
So for me, I personally do believe that men are physically stronger than women. I'm able to acknowledge these differences between
Sure.
genders. However, the question at hand was if I prefer this or that. So I chose equality.
Yeah.
I do think that physical standpoint is something different.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
hang on. No. You can't kind of slide out there because you're giving us a value judgment. You're saying between these two things, chivalry, meaning that men are giving you all of the privileges that women get in society that men generally give you, versus equality, meaning all those privileges are gone, but you can basically vote. That's about all you get, really. You can just vote. That's really all it is, right? There's really nothing else. I don't really know what else there would be, except you can just basically vote. So you get that, but everything else is basically equalized, including the draft. Like you would have to get drafted at the same rates as men, fight in the front lines the same way as men. If such a war came to pass, World War III, and you were drafted, would you go?
if that's my duty, yeah.
Yeah? Would you let them strap you up with armor and send you to the front line?
I mean, yeah, if I have to do something like that, I'll do it. You know, I
And
don't
how do you
think
think you
anyone
would
prefers
perform
that,
versus
but-
the men?
I mean, like I said, I think there's a different physical capabilities for women and men. I do still, like she said, acknowledge biology, and I understand that most women.
So you would do worse.
Huh?
So you would do worse than the men.
Most likely, if I'm not trained enough.
Most
if I'm not
likely you would do
specialized.
worse than the men.
Yeah.
So doesn't it make more sense then if men are supposed to be the fighting force and men are supposed to be people in those positions that you don't have to be in those positions, that they get additional privileges, not you?
Okay, but you're only bringing an example of like war zone situations, and I understand that men
The
would
most important situation?
the
What could
military
possibly be more important than defending your nation against
Well,
other
of
nations?
course.
I couldn't even think of, if I was on the hierarchy of scale of what a government is supposed to do, the top priority is going to be the protection of its citizens, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah, that's going to be warfare, soldiers, force.
Right, but what I'm speaking about is that, don't you think that, for example, like there's two different things. There's an emotional and your intelligence and what you're able to do in a workforce, or versus physical capabilities. So perhaps men are more optimal to fight and protect the country, but there are all of other things that women would be just as, if not more optimal to do in a normal
What?
workforce.
Yeah, what?
I mean, women are really intellectual.
Hang on. Let me caveat this. Other than reproduction, what is a woman going to ever be better at in any of these markets than a man? What?
If you're speaking on generalities, I had that exact same question in freshman, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't name you one, but I think that you can. No,
there's
there
not
are
a single thing
exceptions.
that women are going to supersede men in,
No,
but
but
men
there's
are going
an
to supersede women when it comes to force.
I'm
but
saying
you
is-
deserve the privilege and not the men. Yeah, that makes
What
sense.
I'm saying that
What?
women who do prefer equality, there's a reason why they prefer that, because they understand that their value is in different areas of life other than reproductive situations. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if-
but you're not really answering to the question. So I asked you this question. If men are the ones who are tasked to defend the nation, and they're the ones who are going to be tasked to do the force jobs, which they're tasked to do, why is it they don't deserve additional privilege? Your response to this was to say, well, that may be so, that men are equipped to do those force jobs, but this does not mean that women could not excel in other jobs that men can't. My ask of you was, well, what? Your answer is there aren't any.
I don't know, like I don't have statistics of which gender does better which type of a job.
Well, I can tell you which ones there's more women in than men, and which ones there's more men in than women. But even that wouldn't answer the question of which jobs women specifically are going to do better than men.
Well, actually, that's just an example about one of the societies. But in Malaysia, there's actually a lot more women in computer science fields because they value their intellect, and that's considered more
That
feminine.
doesn't mean that they're better at it. So without equivocation, men are better soldiers than women. Yes?
Yes, majority, yes.
Yes? what job are women better at than men?
I would say like a lot of social work. Perhaps.
They're not. Which social work are they better at? Not that there's more of them, but they're better at it.
Like psychiatrists, everything that involves a lot of mental
How
health.
are women, and what makes women better at being psychiatrists than men?
Well, because they're more, I feel like if you're entering such a field, you have to be able to be more empathetic, and we all agree that women are more empathetic.
And you also need to be very logical, and we agreed that men are more logical.
Yes, but if you're,
I don't see how a man would not be just as good as a woman inside of the field of psychology nor psychiatry. In fact, I think psychiatry-wise, there's actually more men in that field. I think there's more women in the field of psychology.
like I said, I don't have the exact statistics, and I'm not saying women would necessarily be better, but from a physical standpoint, the only thing is that I know for a fact that men fight better. I mean, we all know that, right? But I don't think that you can pinpoint on other specific jobs and say one is better than the other.
I agree.
I agree. So if that is the case, I would just agree with you, right? I would just say you're right. I don't think in many of the, well, I think that there's some jobs we could say men are going to be better at it, right? So for instance, I think men in general are going to be better at underwater welding. I think they're going to be better at construction, at concrete laying. I think they're going to be better at roofing. I think that they're going to be better at an innumerable amount of jobs which require physical strength. Mm-hmm. However, I can't think of a single job which requires less physical strength that men are going to be worse at than women. I can't think of one. Can you?
No, go ahead.
I wouldn't say that these jobs women are better than men at, but some examples could be things like fashion design or art.
Whoa.
Or
You mean, hang on. You mean the job that gay men have? That's how you get all of the fashion of the world is invented by men for women, specifically gay men.
Gay men are killing it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
another
They're
example
killing it.
that I thought of is, you don't have to agree with this.
By the
but
way,
this
this
my
is the case with
perspective.
makeup. This is the case with fashion.
Mm-hmm.
This is the case with, including lifestyle, all of that. That's all invented by men. That's all done by men.
The gays are doing a great job.
So some jobs that I thought of are caretaking, nursing. You don't
No,
have
I'm
to
not-
agree
no,
with
I'm not
me.
laughing at you.
Yeah,
I'm
hang on.
not
Brian,
laughing at
let me
you.
go through them one at a time. Okay, let's take nursing. Nurses right now are on the, this is globally, not just here. Hospitals are desperate to have male nurses because women do not have the physical strength to move patients. They're desperate to get more male nurses. In the United States, there has been many such programs to destigmatize the gender distinction in nursing so that men don't feel like they have to feel bad by going into nursing, because that's how desperate nursing stations are to have men. Nobody would ever make the claim that female nurses are better than male nurses, only that there's more female nurses than male nurses.
So how about patients who are dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's and things of that nature? And
Can you tell me
You-
what
you-
women are uniquely equipped to deal with when it comes to that men are not?
in my opinion, yes, if we're going by the traditional roles that women and men represent, I do feel that women are more empathetic and more nurturing and receptive.
Yeah,
feel
but a
lot of
dementia
people
patient's
would-
going to forget all about that, right?
Well, that's not really the point.
I was joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. But even if that's the case, that women are more empathetic than men, in all of those situations, you would still need logic, reason, all of those other things, which you think that men have a kind of, well, not the monopoly, but they're better at. There's no way, you could never give me a trait set of why women would be better at taking care of dementia patients than men without me being able to give you a trait set back to say, okay, but this is why men would be better at it than women.
There are many jobs that need effectiveness and, logic and reasoning, but there are also jobs that exist that need that more patient and understanding kind of quality. And
Which
I do feel
ones?
that women teaching, nursing,
Teaching,
Therapy.
teaching doesn't require logic and reason. I would say teaching, out of all the jobs you could think of, requires logic and reason above everything else. Otherwise, how do you teach them anything?
In my personal experience, maybe from kindergarten to, I guess, like middle school, it was mainly more female teachers, or at least like male teachers
Yes,
that
I agree
embodied
that
that
there's
feminine
more
energies.
female teachers,
that-
but I don't understand the trait of empathy for teaching, why that's more valuable than logic and reason. Can you explain that to me?
I think that empathy go hand in hand with passion, and with logic and reasoning, you don't really need passion for whatever you're doing. And if you don't have passion for your job, that can also be, I guess, transferred onto the students that you're teaching, and there's no effectiveness in teaching them either.
But you can be passionate and very logical and reasonable. This has nothing to do with empathy. You can be very passionate without having empathy for other people. You could be like a passionate serial killer, passionate about what you're doing, but that doesn't mean you have any empathy. I don't understand, though, if you're going to teach people how to do X thing, isn't logic and reason the thing you want above all other things? Like, I can't think of a more important trait. I'm not saying you don't need empathy. I'm not saying you don't need to have these other things. I'm just saying, wouldn't we value the logic and reason portion of teaching above everything when it came to teaching?
Well, I feel that I learned best, this is me personally, when a teacher was more passionate about their job and they're not telling us to open our books to like page 91 logic. Like, it has to be a mixture of both, but that is just my opinion. I do feel that.
How did a teacher teach you without logic?
I'm not
How?
saying they didn't use logic, but I'm saying that
How does somebody like empathetically teach you math? Like, I'm trying to think about it, right? How would one go about empathetically figuring out how to teach a person mathematics? I'm trying to think like how I can make you feel the math. How can I make you feel the math?
Empathy is about being able to place yourself in other people's shoes. So if there's students struggling with learning something, you would at least be able to, you would at least need the empathy to at least be patient with them and to understand the progress that they're making.
Yeah, but how would you make them feel the math?
I never said that they were making.
Yeah, how would you go about teaching it? So you tell me real quick. Let's pretend for a second that I'm I don't know, first grader, and you're trying to teach me 1 + 1. What would be your first step to teaching me 1 + 1?
So for me, is it just one student that I'm teaching, or is it a whole
Yeah, just one
classroom?
student. Yeah.
And what is their, I guess, like capacity of?
They have a
learning?
normal capacity of a first grader, whatever that is.
Okay. So
Big Sass Energy donated $99. Blows my mind that people think empathy is an overwhelming need in taking care of people that are out of their mind. Affirming mental illness is not care, it's the opposite.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, but I'm going to leave that aside for right now, Big Sass. I
So-
think that that's a good point, though. But if you're teaching a student 1 + 1, what do you think step one would be?
And that's why I did mention more other careers outside of math. Like, I feel like you're using math.
Yeah, I know,
because
but
there's a lot
let's
of
start
logic
with that. Let's
involved.
start with it, because you
That
mentioned
example
teaching.
doesn't really
Okay,
validate what
fine.
I'm saying.
History. You're trying to teach me the Battle of the Bulge. What's step one?
So for me, I'm talking about careers or teaching when it involves like arts, fine arts. I feel like when you use science or history
Okay.
or things that
Okay,
have
sex
answers to it.
education. What would be step one for sex education? What would you say for that? How about physical education? Like, I can't actually think of anything in regards to teaching where you wouldn't value reason and logic above everything else. Like, I really can't, and I'm willing to give you the floor to demonstrate to me that I'm incorrect by just telling me pick any teaching subject you can possibly think of and tell me what step one to it would be.
Well, English and
Okay,
step one
English.
would be, for example, like there are different English classes. I just recently took literary device or like poetry, and you would need to
Sure.
feel that and be passionate about what and be able to
Okay, so
understand what the
poetry.
poem is.
You're passionate about poetry. What's step one to teaching me poetry? What would be the first thing you would do?
I would first preface by saying that there's no wrong answers in poetry.
Okay, there's no wrong answers in poetry. What next?
I would allow my students to kind of first like read through a poem and be able to like freely think and express what they truly feel from the poem, and then based off that, we would have a discussion.
I don't understand, teacher. Edgar Allan Poe's poem here. What does the beating heart represent?
What do you think it represents?
Now we're in logic and reason.
You can definitely fuck up a haiku. I'm just saying. Like you can definitely fuck up a haiku. You can even fuck up a soliloquy. Like that's really easy. You ever fucked up a soliloquy? That pantamic. What's that one? The pantamic tamanimer. Wait, what is it? Anissa, what is it? The Pantamic? Dynaminer?
Yeah. Ryan, my audio's a bit scuffed. I'm going to jump and come right back in.
Yeah, no worries. Well, while he does that, guys, TTS is $69. If you guys want to get it in, you can go to twitch.tv/whatever, drop us a follow and a Prime sub if you have one, twitch.tv/whatever, drop us a follow. We have to do a couple reacts too. You can also like the video, guys. Guys, like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that like button.
There we go. That's better.
We got Twitch, twitch.tv/whatever. There it is, guys. Guys, it's been a minute since we last had a Prime. I think it's probably bugged. If somebody can, probably bugged. Help, I guess. All right, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, like the video, cool. Yo, Brian, thank you for the membership. Appreciate it, bro. $69 TTS. Got a couple things we need to get through. So here, let me try to get through a bunch of this as quick as possible. Let's do the dating app. Or actually, it's just photos, right?
Yeah, it's just photos.
Let's just save time. Do we save time and just skip it?
We can just they're just photos.
Sorry. They can. I mean, we saw like old you and young you, so it's pretty much the same. Okay. And then we need to do. I'm just gonna save. What are can you tell me what the reacts are, Austin?
Yeah, can you go after?
It's just like the Inside Edition thing, and then there's.
It's the catcalling one, and then there's a
TikTok.
Or a.
We don't need the TikTok. And what's the other one? Sorry, guys. One moment.
You have the followers list, and then catcalls turned, and then we have TikTok, and that's it.
Okay, yeah, we'll save those for another day just because we're limited on time. Here are a couple rapid fire questions going around the table. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
No.
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 Nay.
I was actually can I just ask you a quick question? What do you
Sure.
define as feminism?
Can you guys hide that
Yeah.
until you get it fixed?